Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Agents of Clix, a bi-monthly podcast for everything Heroclix. My name is Sean and as usual I'm joined by Chris Verdun and Dale DeAndrade. Episode 7 already, guys, can you believe it? I can't believe we're 7 episodes in. Have you been playing much Heroclix in the last fortnight, Dale? Have you had many games? Or?
No. We're down to a month before Nationals. I'm not holding out hope here.
Oh dear. You've decided on a team though?
Yeah, kind of.
And you're actually going. You've got the time off. So
I've finally got the time off, so I'm at least going.
Oh, that's good. It's better. It's a better state than what you were in the last podcast because you were unsure last time, weren't you?
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to make the Friday.
Right.
I think I'm probably going to end up getting there, but probably too late, so I may pop in. But I probably won't participate. Maybe jump into one. We'll see.
What about you, Chris? Have you been having many games last fortnight?
Not a huge amount. Just played down a local on the Monday night. On Monday, what did we do again? It was the Spider-Ham OP kit. I played like Scientist Team with Armagon, who I hadn't played before. A big sharky thing from the second Turtle set. With 2 Ant-Man, cause he's my favourite. The giant 15-point giant man, and then the 8-point Hank Pym little tank. And obviously Armagon,
why not? And
plus tank was quite brutal really, so yeah. I have a Spider-Ham.
Yeah, another one.
Well no, it's I don't. I think I gave away the other one, so yes, I have. I've got one now. Not that I've ever played him, and I'll probably give this one away as well.
Well, I haven't played much really, because I was judging for that event that you just talked about, Chris. So I didn't play. I think I had one game in the final round because we had someone drop, so it meant that in the final round somebody had a bye. So I had a very quick game against that person. But apart from that, nothing really to write home about. I need to get practice in for Nationals. I'm pretty locked on a team, but I haven't played it enough, so we need to talk about practice times after this podcast.
Yeah.
The team you played is not complicated though, Sean, so you'll be alright.
No,
it's just like, okay.
That's how I like it. I can't have anything too complicated because
things might go wrong. Things go wrong.
Yeah.
More options, more problems.
Yep. So that's if that's what we've been playing, then we'll just. Dale, do you want to just take us through the news? What news has been happening?
Yeah, so there is 4 big things. It's a lot of it is just lots of releases. We've had lots of little trickles of things here and there. The other thing we'll talk about more later. They have came out with another step towards finalising the rules. The tweaks have all been announced with them taking feedback on from the community and editing the powers to match that. We'll go through them later, but I think the majority of them are positive. We've had some Defenders, Avengers, War things pop out. Nothing super exciting from there. We've had Nuke. He's alright. I think he's probably the most interesting of the 3. Trait he has the red, white and blue pills. Red pill gives him battle fury and a 1 attack value. White pill heals him 1, but he's not allowed to attack. And blue gives him precision strike. You pick 1 and use it for that turn. It's pretty straightforward from there. Running shot for a couple of turns, then energy explosion, went on to charge and super strength for a couple of clicks, and then just down at super strength. It's only 70 points. He's a soldier, which is a strong keyword. Post changes. Is that right? The other one was Porcupine. He's annoying. I mean, he's 40 points. He's got 5 clicks life and toughness for all but 1 click. Plasticity for a couple of clicks to begin with. Another soldier, and if you hit him with a close combat attack, you take 1 unavoidable damage back. So that's not. It's not bad, I suppose. If you're going to play soldiers, nice little tie-up piece. Why not? The big one so far, man thing, the super rare. Yeah, he's all right. He's so confused, like convoluted. He just kind of bounces between phasing, teleport. He starts off phasing, teleport, poison, toughness, and exploit weakness, and ends on the same thing for a click. And in the middle, he turns into a giant with 5 range and precision strike. No, not precision strike. Psychic blast, sidestep, and can't be countered. Or that particular giant ability can't be countered. He has a stop click, so he's definitely getting to there. And 19 defense impervious on that third stop click is hard to argue. Mystic's team ability is not terrible, and he's got defenders, so he can share out that 19 defense when you get to it. He also has a trait that allows, similar to how the Sinister Syndicate and how we deal with Batman traits all gone, where once per turn, for all characters with the trait, for defenders together, a character using the defender's team ability to replace the defense with Man-Things can reduce penetrating damage, and there can't be a target of mind control. Well, there can be a target of mind control, it just automatically misses. Seems like a strange thing to be specific about, but there you go. He's alright. I mean, he's 125 points, so he's an investment, but if you 19 defense on a whole team and having the option of making it be able to reduce penetrating on somebody is not bad if you're going to play into it. And the last one's a super rare Scott Lang. I was hoping for more from an Ant-Man to use with my tank, but there you go. Sidestep stealth doesn't turn people tiny this time. He has the if you're adjacent to him and move away, if you're an opposing character, he can move with you. And he has Perplex, where if he targets you with it, you can't target him unless he's the only character on the force. And apart from that, he's just quite standard of an Ant-Man. Relative short dial, super senses, combat reflexes, precision strike, tiny.
Yeah, I think that special damage power is costing quite a lot because he doesn't seem worth the 80 points.
No.
And in a world where people bring out ID characters, then it's not. You can't reliably just go, oh well, you can't target me, yay, because he'll just bring out somebody else who can target you.
I think even if he was 50 points, I still wouldn't be thrilled.
Yeah.
And that's worrying when he's 80.
Yeah.
I mean, not much more to say about that really. When I seen it, I thought it's a really good sculpt. I was hoping for a good one because I've got my Ant-Man card. I want an Ant-Man which has got a language I can play after all of the other Ant-Men have disappeared, and it's just he's not going to be used. Unless you really, really like Scott Lang.
I mean, he does give you more options for trying to theme a Pym tank, but he's quite an expensive way of doing it. Because he's got a few more keywords.
Yeah.
I think realistically, the majority of the time, people are just going to stick with the ones from the Civil War movie set.
I'm just hoping for lots of decent Avengers so I can play the 15-point Giant Man.
He's hoping.
Yeah.
You'll always get loads of Avengers.
Hopefully.
There's always a good lot.
I'm hoping to get something similar to like what Man-Things, like the Avengers. If people have the Avengers team ability, they might get a little shared trait. Would be interesting.
The thing is, for that, they've gave it to people who share things. And
I know, but
Avengers is just like a free.
Yeah, but it would still be nice. It's Avengers versus Defenders War, so come on, give the Avengers. The Avengers have always been like downtrodden. Jokingly, obviously. There's hundreds of millions of them. But yeah.
They do have a really crap team ability, though.
Well, it's useful in some circumstances. Obviously, sometimes you're just like, well, I never ever have enough figures for it to be worthwhile anyway. But, if you're playing a team, occasionally I do get use out of it, yeah. Especially with the Goliath Ant-Man, who can then morph when it doesn't count towards the actions. Yeah, so I think if you're playing like cheap figures with it, you get the use out of it, like with Jarvis and things like that. Being able to reposition without it using up your actions. But yeah, hopefully that's what I'm hoping for, and we'll get a little trait, or maybe a little boost if they do a move.
Yeah, maybe. Something to hopefully so. We'll see what they do. Still haven't seen any of the shifting focuses that we were promised. I remember reading that we're doing a shifting focus like of characters that we've never seen before. And if I remember, I haven't found it since, but I'm pretty sure I read somewhere shifting focus where it's between defenders, not necessarily between like one version of a character and the next. So we won't have like, here is Doctor Strange doing one spell and Doctor Strange doing another. It'll be like swapping out the Hulk for the Surfer. Oh god, I hope we get a Silver Surfer in Defenders War. It's so long. So anything else to say on the Defenders before we move on? Then we've got the finalised deck list for the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The whole set, it's cute, but I mean, nothing stands out as going to be meta, probably. They're nice, they're pretty, they all have their own little thing, but a lot of their dials just seem incredibly generic. Like, you know, I can just say Gamora, and you know what you're looking at in Gamora. Yeah, if I say, you know, Mantis is just another martial artist, it's the same feeling type of character. The only ones who stand out as being different is like the Rocket and Groots, and I don't feel like any of them jump out as being like great. The duo fig, the actual Rocket and Groot, seems interesting, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's because he hasn't really got any move and attack, really. He's like sort of sticking in styles and probably he's okay.
When I first seen him, as I said, the computer screen was down a bit funny, and I thought, is that ring shot? If it is, great, he's awesome. And then when I spotted it was stealth on the first click and third, I was like, well, no, I just don't care anymore. I've lost all whatever for it. Apart from that, though, I don't really think there's anyone to highlight as an interesting piece. Oh, I lie. There's the Ravager. There's the Ravager. Has anyone?
Yeah.
Have you guys looked at that yet?
Yeah, with the spit dials. That's interesting. It's like a Morlock, but like slightly better. Got two clicks instead of one.
It's a Morlock, but two.
So you might actually play him without having Proteus on him.
I like him. I think for 10 points to pick one of those. I mean, not one of them is bad. It's either running short energy explosion with support as a weird power, charge blades with battle fury, sidestep poison, which would have been cute if they hadn't have just announced that that's just disappeared.
Yeah, but he does get he's a 10-point enhancer. I don't think anybody's going to give you him.
He is a 10-point
if you pay 10 points.
It's true. Or there's the Empower one, Leap Climb. Hits the
So attack him next token. Yeah,
yeah, so even better than Incapacitate and Empower as well. I mean, that's probably the best one. Shame about the keywords. There's no keyword that's going to work in there. But it's nice. You know, I said, if you're not playing themed, I think it's probably one of the best 10 points going at the moment. I think Koi Boy can move along now. I think Ravage is the new
10-point piece.
Best 10 points.
No, Thug is.
Not themed, I think.
Thug.
Avengers Thug is.
Always Thug.
I think if you're playing unthemed, I think Ravage probably stands out as better for me.
Yeah.
I'd rather pay 10 points for 2 clicks that actually do something than 4 clicks of nothing.
There's obviously an 8-point figure that like blows them all away, but yeah.
Yes, it's an 8-point keyring that's just the best, but yeah, there you go. I think of anything else. Anyone else has got anything to mention about this set? I don't want to spend too much time on it because it really isn't interesting.
No, we haven't got all of the target dials, so there may be something.
Which one are we missing?
Some of the rares we haven't got the.
Oh yeah.
Which ones?
12,
11, 12, and 14.
realize, yeah.
Alicia, there's 2 Alicias, whoever she is. Supposedly 11, 12, and Taserface, whoever he is. So
Taserface is one of the Ravengers. No one cares. He was a kind of a joke reference, and then he's actually turned up. And Alicia is the leader of the Sovereigns. She's the golden woman from the trailer saying, "Who do you think you are?" So she's down as the primary antagonist.
Yeah.
I mean, do we really need 2 versions of her and a Taserface before we get Ego the Living Planet?
Oh, he's not on the list, is he? So that's a shame.
No, he's not.
No, I mean, come on. Anyway, hopefully he'll at least be a map for the sets or in the starter set or something like that. I imagine not, but it'd be cute anyway.
I haven't got a fast forces or anything.
I don't
No,
think
it's
so.
just a gravity feed.
That sucks. Anyway, anything else from that one? Apart from the fact I think they've just increased the number of pilots in the game by like 3 times what there already is in just one set.
Yeah.
Everyone's a pilot in space.
There's a lot of pilots. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Next is the con exclusives. These are crazy. Some of them aren't as interesting as others. We had Doomsday. I'll say not as interesting as others. I mean, I think he's the most dull one that's came out that hasn't already been shown and that we haven't already talked about. I think he's still pretty good. I mean, I think he's the closest thing to a proper Doomsday that we've had. I still think he's a little slow. Does anyone else think that, or is that just me? Like movement wise?
Well, he's a bit rubbish on his top clicks. You're basically trying to force your opponent to hit you, and I don't know if that's gonna work if you can't actually keep up with them.
Yeah. I mean, it's his traits nice. There's an awful lot of traits going on with him. So I'll go for them there. He's either 100 points, 200 points, or 300 points, where the extra points are at the end of his dial rather than at the beginning, and the extra clicks are at the end of his dial, so he's getting stronger as you go along. He has Ultimate Survivor, so he modifies his defense by +1 for each adapt token on an attacker. When Doomsday is hit by an attack, you can place Doomsday in an adjacent square 1 step close to the enemy, and until he kills everything on the surface. He can use Plasticity, can't be targeted by Perplex, and when he kills an opponent after the action resolves, remove all tokens from him and heal him 1 click, and he can't be healed in any other way. And his defense power is effectively a trait anyway. Stop. Doomsday can use Invulnerability. When this click is revealed, due to taking damage after action resolves, you can put an Adapt token on an attacker. Essentially, I don't really know how to make of this. I mean, in a standard current team where you're thinking 3 characters, a tentpole and 2 supporting ones, if there was no such thing as ID cards, I would say he's overpowered. If you play a 300-point version of him, you're realistically looking at those last clicks having 21, 22 defense every single turn. Like there's because if he's got stop, you're only ever doing 1 damage to him, so you know fine well you're definitely going to be getting out at least 5 of these tokens before you get to the 19 defense clicks. And there's not going to be an awful lot of people to share those 5 adapt tokens to. But I mean, do I think he's going to get anywhere in 300 points? I have a horrible feeling, unless something comes out that really hurts this, we might end up seeing this being the Do Not Die team and just a 300-point Doomsday.
Once Nick Fury rotates,
that's the thing. What I'm worried about. I'm looking at this going, so you can't outwit him. You can't outwit his defense. Sorry, his defense is he always only ever takes 1 damage. You get tokens for it every time. So unless you've got Pulse Wave, which, if I remember right, it won't ignore his stop, but it would ignore the minuses for the tokens.
Where's I haven't got actually his dial. Is that a different power? Is it?
It's a trait.
The trait is what gives him the +1 defense when being targeted.
Yeah, I think it's just because you can't do more than 1 damage. I think you have to sort of if you're playing just like a tentpole against a tentpole, you will never kill him because you'll probably never have the time, and you'll take in the tokens. And you'll not be able to finish him off really. If you're playing like a swarmy team that can do a lot of attack, you probably could. But I don't think anybody will play him when Nick Fury's on the go, because he'll just kill you quick. And I don't think even when Nick Fury rotates, I'm not sure about the lower point ones, because I think you can actually get through their dials. Because they're not very. You can easily hit somebody 5 times.
Unless there's something unless there's something really, really powerful that you kind of is a must on your team, something like akin to what the batteries used to be, where resources, you have to have a resource really to work. I'd be a little worried with Doomsday. It's just going to be able to. I'm not worried that he's going to be able to stomp every single team. That's not an issue. I'm worried that if you play a 300-point version of Doomsday, you're never going to lose the game.
Maybe again, shredders might be able to like kill him if you're playing like a couple of shredder teams, which seem to be getting more popular. Then you're automatically doing damage to him every turn just by penetrating damage, which will kill him pretty quick.
It's true, I suppose. I mean, you have to be clever with it, but we'll see how it goes. But, as I said, I'm not at the moment. I'm not worried. I don't think he's very good now, but I'm worried that the 300-point version of him is just going to be a kind of really dull team that you'll end up seeing that may, win or keep turning up in top 8s, and just like the Don't Die teams now, where they're just not necessarily fun to play against. And it's a nice version of Doomsday, of course. He doesn't die, but the fact that he doesn't give points away at 300 points either is just going to be really boring.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's him. The next one I'd talk about is Zeus, if I can find him. He's an interesting one. Have you guys seen the Zeus style?
I remember looking at it when they first revealed it, but I don't think I've looked at it since. Where
I can't remember.
is it on the? Is it on Heroclix website, or is it on? Was this one of the figures.com thing that did?
It's one of the. I seen it on a video leak, and then pictures started appearing online of it.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. I just can't remember.
I posted it on on our page from the video leak. I've got the dial up in front of me now.
Oh, I can't find it. I must be just an idiot, clearly. No,
if you click,
right, it is there.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? But while we're here, because I just spotted it first, Plastic Man. I'll start with him because he's just dull. Does anyone care what he is?
Go on.
Alright, so he can use Plasticity as a trait with Giant Reach for 2. He also treats 2 squares and line of fire as adjacent for movement purposes, so he is Plasticity for a lot of space. He has another trait, which is whenever he takes damage from an opponent attack, after he resolves, you can replace him. You can replace him with a character named Plastic Man of 75 points or less on the same click number. So I'm assuming there's going to be more Plastic Men coming out that this version could turn into. They're fine. Pencil Thin Profile is his special damage power. He has shape change, but succeeds on a 4, 5, or a 6. If he fails, but on a 3, he can only take 1 damage. If he fails on a 2, he can take only a maximum of 2 damage. Apart from that, he really doesn't do an awful lot. He's 60 points, but he really is just a tie-up.
He's just asking to be sorry, can't get my words out. He's asking to be outwitted and killed very quickly.
Yeah, because he's got no defense power on those on the 3 clicks.
He's completely relying on that special power to stay alive, really.
And it's really good, but then when you have a Battle Fury Hulk, it just goes, sweet, dead. He doesn't really do all that much, and I don't know, the Giant Reach 2 with plasticity in that area is going to make it hard to get through it. Seriously, it's just outweigh and shoot him in the face.
It's just similar to like Anaconda or from Superior Foes or the earlier Deadpool one or Elongated Man and things like that. That's sort of alright. You think it's alright, but there's so many ways around it that it doesn't really work generally. He's got the police team ability. He's 60 points. He's not too bad, but he's more like a bit of fun, really.
He's not terrible. Yeah, he's not terrible. He is just a bit of fun. He's not likely to change the world, but I think depending on how many other Plastic Men. Yeah,
it's a shame that you have to take damage from an attack before you can actually do that, though. So it's not like a shift and focus one where you can just swap as a free action backwards and forwards, which would have been nice if you had like a few options. But the fact that you have to take damage from an attack before you can actually do it sort of limits it quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I think I'll shift on to Zeus from here. Zeus is really cool. I mean, really, really cool. I like this Zeus. Comes in 280, 200, and 150 flavors. He is Quintessence and is the first person to have the Quintessence team ability. Keyword, sorry. Has the Mystics team ability as well. A trait which is Divine Aura for all of my children, which is the Divine Aura trait we've seen from Superman Wonder Woman, except for it's not just him, it is him and all of his friends. He gives it to his whole team because of course he's already quintessent, he's not going to be outwitted, but it's fun to give your whole team it. They're probably not going to see a whole lot of use in out of a 280 point version, but the 200 point might do. He's got a special attack power, which is unlimited control of nature. It gives Zeus a free action and choose a standard attack power. He can use that power until he hits an opponent and the action resolves, which means he gets to keep picking these powers and stacking as many options as he can until he actually attacks and hits someone, doesn't it?
That's how I would read it,
Yeah.
I think that's the specific thing for it. It's like, I'll walk forward, I'll take Precision Strike, and I'll wait a turn and I'll pick Pulse Wave.
Well, I think you're probably picking defense powers to start with, aren't you?
You can only pick standard attack
powers.
That,
sorry. So you might be picking. You probably won't be TKing with the 200 point piece.
Probably not.
But yeah, smoke clouding. You'll be smoke clouding. That's probably what you'll be doing.
There's an advantage to smoke cloud. If you have smoke cloud, you ignore the -1 for being inside somebody else's.
I don't know if there's any advantage for smoke cloud really, but yeah.
It's a small advantage, but it's an advantage all the same. And he has a white square damage power, which is leadership and outwit, because he's king of the gods. Apart from that, I mean, 280 point version has 20 defense with Invincible on the top dial, 5 damage with his outwit leadership,
that's the
12 attack with that picking all his powers, running shot 6
beast.
squares. And I mean, he is pretty
beastly.
Pretty mad.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not going to see an awful lot of him at 280 points in any sort of competitive. But at 200 points, I mean, he's losing obviously his ridiculous defense, but he's still going to sidestep, 10 movement, 11 attack with his pick loads of power, 18 defense with invincible, and then 4 damage with his outwit and leadership. That's not terrible. And then, of course, opponents can't outwit him and can't ability control him, and he gives the same protection to your team as well.
Yeah, I think you might see him on with the buffs to outwit with the rules as well. The 150.1, if you partner him up with somebody, you might just see, well, because being protection from outwit is going to be pretty big, I think.
I think so. You're thinking maybe him, just him and a tag team buddy of about maybe 100, someone who's about 100, 150 points as well.
Well, you're thinking about him with Jakeem, because Jakeem then because he's been protected from outwit now and he's very good. When outwit comes out and says, "I can take away all your powers, Mr. Jakeem," he suddenly becomes not so good. But somebody said, "Well, actually, you can't be outwitted," and he's not.
And he's not terrible.
Yeah,
He's only got those 5 clicks, and so yeah. But
I think he's a bit expensive for those 5 clicks, but I mean they're still not terrible. He's still looking at running shots, pulse wave for 4 damage. He's still okay, but I think the strongest style is probably the 200.1 myself.
Yeah, but then you're sort of limited who you can partner him with, really. Sort of unless you're playing obviously a larger point games, you'd probably see him and getting more benefit out of that trade. Yeah.
But next, I'll move on to the last one that was on the video that I seen, the Cyber Shredder. I mean, he looks cool, and he's got a long enough dial. His defense is a bit low, but there you go. He does have a trait for energy shield deflection and giant reach of 2. He's got a special movement power, gives him mind control with a range of 6, and the first 4 targeting normal size character. If a hit character's attack total value is more than Cyber Shredder's, the mind control instead misses all targets except for what? So if he shoots 4 people and he hits all of them, or enough of them where it's going to he's mind controlling effectively more than 125 points worth of. He misses all of them and only hits one of your choice. Does that mean?
So slightly strange, but
that he could say? Does that mean he could say, for example, if he was mind controlling the whole team, one of them was 150 points, one was 75, one was 50, and one was 25, and he mind controlled, he shot all of them, missed the 150 point figure, but hit all the others. He could then choose to just hit the 150
I
one.
think so, by the word, because he's looking at, he misses all targets except one of your choice. It doesn't say he misses all hit targets.
Yeah. Like, it's incredibly unlikely to ever happen. I mean,
yeah,
if he's 125 points, so unless you're playing more than 300 point games, there's only going to be one figure who's bigger than that worth it, and that means you have to hit essentially everybody else on the team to get that. So it's not likely to happen, but I feel like that's just going to be an awful lot of question marks on how that actually works.
Yeah.
Maybe ignoring that and just talking about how.
Yeah, let's forget about that.
How 4 target mind control might be funny. His defense is miss and parry. He can use impervious. When an adjacent character attacks Cyber Shredder and he takes no damage from the attack, you can place a counter attack token on Cyber Shredder. At the beginning of the turn, you can remove all counter attack tokens, and he can make a close combat attack, increasing his damage by +1 for each removed marker. So if 4 people hit him, he gets 4 tokens.
Increasing his attack.
He's increasing attack, sorry, not his damage. Increases his attack by +1. So he gets it 3 times, gets 3 tokens. He takes them all off, does 1 attack with +3 attack as a free action. Click make a close combat. It's
the beginning of your turn. So it's during the beginning of the turn you do it. It's not an action.
And then his special damage power is opposing characters can't target characters that are 5 or more squares away from themselves. So he basically turns the lights off everywhere. You play pitch black. This is only in the middle dial of him. I think that's like the last half of his dial. All of those powers all sound all well and good. But he's not very good, is he?
He's got 0 range as well, and he's just like, he's got blades to charge your blades. So I suppose he's got charge your blades and goes to flurry blades.
And he does have giant reach too.
And he's got a long dial. He's not terrible. If you want to play like a Foot Clan team or a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle villain team or something like that, he's
play the Shadow from the first set.
Well, you could use all those little untargetable, invisible guys to protect him moving up and stuff. You just got to protect him and make sure he doesn't get shot a bit before he gets into combat.
So moving on to that, this is one I was excited for, and I feel like I'm let down. Spider Carnage. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting from him. He sounds about exactly as he was. Maximum Carnage and monster keyword. Has the alien symbiote trait. They automatically break away with plasticity and shape change. He has a trait of reborn in blood and agony. When an opposing character takes damage from Spider Carnage's attack, you may resolve the action and give him put a slash marker on that character, removing it from anywhere else. When a character with a slash marker is given an action, deal it 1 penetrating damage. And when that character heals or clears, you remove the slash marker. It's the same as every else's slash marker, and it's not exciting. A white special damage power, which is when I have to fight for control. When Spider Carnage attacks, you may choose that his attacks deal penetrating damage, and if you do, his increases damage by 1. If you do, and he kills an opposing character, you deal 1 unavoidable damage to Spider Carnage. Apart from that, it could be any Carnage dial. You've got charge on the first half, flurry in the second, blades all the way through, combat reflexes to begin with, super senses at the end, exploit weakness to begin with, and then going on to that option of taking penetrating damage. I mean, I'm all like that. It does have improved movement, everything but walls, I think. Through elevation, hindering characters. Yeah. Which would be funny, except for he's already. I don't know. He's not great. I don't think he's that exciting. He's 100 points. Any rise on that?
He's quite expensive for what he brings to the table.
He's a good tie-up piece,
he's got a maximum
but it's
carnage,
like 100. It's because he's 100 points really that you're looking at it and going. Because with his trait of plasticity shape change, and he can move around because he automatically breaks away, he can tie people up, he's got combat reflexes, but his defense isn't huge, so he's going to take a hit.
For me, I think he is just a worse version of Anti-Venom. I think Anti-Venom does exactly the same points, the same traits, so he's still got the tie-up piece. But, I mean, he starts with super senses, higher defense, and shape change. And then the kind of weird double outwitty thing is good. But, I mean, it's nice. I want it because it's Spider Carnage and it looks cool. But I'm probably never going to get play out of him, sadly. Apart from that, we've got... I feel like I'm out of breath. The Sinestro, the Colossal Sinestro. It's a lot to talk about with this. He's got a very long dial.
Just talk about his 25.1 because no one else is going to play him.
That's the only one cares about. He has Ruler, he has Sinestro Corpse keyword, and that's it, isn't it? I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to find him because I, for the life of me, can't find him. And then he does 3 damage with his retaliation, same as always as a close combat attack. But when he hits you, you can't make attacks the turn after. So he just whacks. You hits your friend. He teleports up, smacks him, and that retaliated character can't attack next turn. He has the same defense power where he has toughness, can't target smaller characters, and he has perplex on that click as well. So I mean, he's not Sinestro Corpse and Ruler, sorry, it's Sinestro Corpse and Armor, which is a lot better. Really, I think he's pretty good.
He's pretty good compared to the other. Obviously you're comparing him to other Colossal Retaliators. I think his perplex makes him extremely valuable. And the retaliation's not bad, especially if he hits you and stops you making attacks. Can you outwit that?
You can. It's only the stop power you can't.
What's it? I can't read. With his quintessence trait, is that because I can't actually see what it is?
350 point version.
Is that what it says?
25.
I can't see what it says on there. Yeah, so he didn't get that at 25 points.
He doesn't, but he does have a trait that gives him. He's immune to exploit weakness, mind control, psychic blast, and incapacitate.
Which is
regardless of the point version. But none of that is going to be helpful really, except on the end dial. Other than the fact that unless you have more than 1 damage, you can't kill him. He's probably the second best, maybe third best one going. When he flies, he's huge. He's much faster than almost all of the other colossals. So he's a good taxi. He's got incapacitate. It's 10 range. So I mean, it doesn't even make any difference if he has to sit back. He's going to be able to reach his team to give that incapacitate and stay pretty safe with it. And then that incapacitate, that colossal retaliation is just like. And all other characters adjacent to that one, I mean, it's not. I don't think I've explained it very well. So he hits the one person who's attacked, who he wants to,
and other characters adjacent.
And it's everyone adjacent.
Yeah.
And all of them take 3 damage instead of his normal damage, and none of them can attack next turn. I mean, that's really good for 25 points.
That is pretty good.
Yeah. I think it's just, to be honest, I'm playing him for 25 points for Perplex if I get him, because there's a lot of other 25-point Perplexers, and you think, well, they're generally, that's the bog standard. If you want a cheap Perplexer, you're paying 25 points. There's quite a few other figures that do that. But he's like some...
But how about making it a super taxi?
Yeah, I'll make him a Colossal Retaliation and like a taxi as well, added on to that 25 points, and I say, yes, please.
And then with that, it's probably, debatably, I'd say it's maybe even the best... retaliation. I think it's debatable as to whether or not that's between him and Adam.
I'd still go for Adam, but Adam's just ignoring all defense powers, so you make sure that it gets through. That's the thing with him.
He's only 10 attack, but of course, he's got his own perplex, so he can't make it 11, I suppose. He's just great. The rest of his dial is nothing exciting. He's cool. I desperately want him because I've had this model before. The 175 point version, I'll be very quick. it's too squishy. The dial's long, but it really is just soft and very quick to get through all of those clicks. 250.1 for 75 points. Those 4 clicks are terrible for 75 points. I mean, it doesn't give them enough. And the last one is 300. It's just too expensive.
And then he starts off with charge. Yeah, I've got a 10 range. I'll start with charge.
I don't care if you have 13 attack and super strength.
If you had like Psychic Blast, but even then he's 325 points, so yeah, you're never gonna. And he's not worth that. So I think,
no.
Unlike some of the other some of the other Retaliators, you can see, I'll play that, and it's like slightly higher point values. But I can't see you wanting to really do that unless you're playing a big Sinestro Call team or something like that, and you want him to be a bit higher points. But 175 points, maybe, because he's got decent, like with the range combat expert with 10 range, sidesteps, not bad, but I don't think I would ever play him in any other higher ones. Yeah.
So I think we'll move on from there, and I think we're on the last one, unless I'm missing one, the Muhammad Ali Superman boxing ring.
Yeah.
I'll start with the dull things, the actual figures themselves. Superman comes in a 225 point version of actual Superman that you know and love, and a 75 point version who is a much shorter dial, much weaker dial, but a version who can fight the 75 point Muhammad Ali if you'd like. The big version has everything you want from a Superman, plus a pulse wave, which I've never, why, but whatever. 3 clicks of the usual hypersonic speed, super strength, and invincible. Of course, it's all well and good now, but that will not be a combo you'll ever see in the future, so there you go. Maybe not worth the 225 points at that point. He's got 3 clicks of very fast running shot with 11 attack and pulse wave, 5 damage on the 4th click, the first of that one, or 4 for the other 2. On the same one, he has forming a plan with Ali special power, which is if he gives Superman a free action, if he's adjacent to a friendly character named Muhammad Ali, he can choose a standard power, and all opposing characters within range and line of fire cannot use that power until the next turn. It's fun, but you're never going to. It's very unlikely you're going to play to use that. If you get it, you'll have a daft game because you can play the Superman and Muhammad Ali for 300 points together, and that's the only time that they have any sort of combination that helps Superman. So why not? The other one, this is now going on to the 75 point boxing dial of him, has got a precision strike for the whole of the 5 clicks, 3 of invulnerability, and then 2 of toughness, and battle fury for those 5 clicks, and a white square power for Earthbound, Flurry, and Sidestep. He's Kryptonian, Metropolis, Reporter, Warrior, and Justice League. I think he's pretty good. I mean, I might think of using the 75 point version of the Superman in the Justice League team, just because he's cheap, he's Superman.
He's not a bad ID call-in as well. Because sidestep Flurry with Precision Strike and Battle Fury.
And 3 damage is nothing to be sniffed at.
No, if you can bump that up a little bit.
He's alright.
He's good.
Muhammad Ali, the greatest himself, celebrity and warrior keywords, a trait called Superman, we are the greatest. If a character named Superman is in your force, Muhammad Ali doesn't count against them, and at the beginning of your game, you may choose to give Muhammad Ali Battle Fury for the game. Yeah, that's fair enough. He's 75 points, charge for a couple of clicks, and then Flurry for the following 4, 6 in total. He has Indomitability, which the Superman doesn't have. It's the only note for me that I don't like with him. He has sidestep traded for float like a butterfly, and the first 3 clicks of sting like a bee, which is a white square attack power, gives him precision strike, but it can't be reduced below 2 instead of just the normal 1. He has empower for his first 3 clicks, and close combat expert for his last 3. Combat reflexes with 17 defense for the beginning, and then 16 defense with toughness for the second half of his dial. I think it's really good for 75 points.
I think
really, really good for. It's an awful. You get an awful lot for him. If I don't know, if you can fit, if you're going to play a team with Superman in it, it may well be worth having a look into him, especially if you're going for theme. The only problem is, I think him and Superman probably fit the same kind of block in your team. I think the 75 point boxing Superman is the only one I don't know, maybe the 90.1, but even then that's quite a lot of points you're pouring into 2 characters. And it's reducing the amount of theme you can actually, theme bonus you can actually get.
It's still,
depends on what if you
it's still pretty good. I quite like him.
Yeah.
If I get the boxing ring, I mean, obviously, I think I would probably want to always play him with Superman, just to try and get the benefit from his trait, really. But
maybe if you're going to play a Metropolis themed team, there's enough reporters out there to really bulk up those ranks, and you can live without one guy in there if you're going to fit him in, and just play as it. I think if you're going to play him, I think the shifting focus Superman's still going to stand out as the best.
I can play some like Superman play with the 50 points and then play a nice little.
Maybe
you can get quite a few figures on your team. Superman can carry him around. Benefits from him with power, sidestep, and his charge of 5 gives him a decent sort of strike range. Yeah, I like him.
Well, 11 attack and always at least doing 2 damage. Is really good.
Yeah, definitely. Especially since it changes to you can get through invincible with that because it's not like trying to reduce it.
So on to the star of the show, the boxing ring.
Yep.
I mean, I wasn't expecting to do this, but here you go. I can't really discuss exactly how this works because I don't know, but I'm going to read through it, and Chris will probably tell me how it works. So the placement rules for it are: it's 5 points for your team. It is special terrain and has the special terrain keyword. Must be placed at least 3 squares from any starting area. Can't be placed over a square of different elevation or other special terrain. The starting force can only include 1 piece of special terrain, and the player may not choose the map to get. The player not choosing the map gets to set up any special terrain first before placing objects. And when you place the sporting arena map, choose a friendly character and modify its defense by +1 against ranged combat attacks this game. If this terrain cannot be placed, you get the map bonus. I don't know what it means by map bonus.
Well, it's just that's
bonus
what's it
is
called.
the +1.
Yeah. Power. Yeah.
If I'm picking a map, I'll put you on WizKid's office. You can't put your ring down because there's not enough space. And then so you say, "Oh, I'll pick this character and get you +1 against range attacks."
That's fair enough. And you also get that ability if you're playing the sporting arena map anyway. So if you win map roll, you should play the sporting arena, put the box map
which we don't know what the sporting arena is, unless that comes in with the.
Presumably, you'd get it with the ring.
It does. I think it's been leaked. It's a pretty box standard map with a big center and a big block in the middle where you put the ring really. Then it's got 1 million traits, which is all squares in the boxing ring are clear terrain. When a character crosses the ropes in either direction, it can ignore hindering terrain for movement purposes. Its movement ends immediately. If a character is not completely in or out of the ring, its movement may continue until it's completely in or out. A character that occupies a square out of the ring modifies its attack by -2 when attacking characters that are inside the ring, and vice versa. Characters that modify their attack value by +1 when making a close combat attack if you're inside the ring. Oh, that is so much text.
I love that.
Yeah, so 5 points. The new, probably going to be in almost every team.
As long as assuming that it's not going to break theme, I think. Because assuming that's not like a character, it's just like a bit of special terrain that hopefully they're going to bring more bits of special terrain out, so it's not going to be a one-off. But
it's just strange that it's got its own keywords, though.
I'm not sure if it's a keyword. It's just a description of.
It appears as one.
It looks like it is.
It's written as one.
Yes.
But yeah,
if it's not a character, it's not going to have a keyword. It's just a description of what it is.
Please clarify with his kids.
What is special terrain with kids? They may have some.
If I think have we discussed this before? I feel like we've probably not in the podcast, but that would be legal for UK nationals because it's available in other nationals that happen before ours.
Yeah,
is that correct? Towards the end of April.
Yeah. So the 7th of May is when all of those con exclusives are technically going to be legal, which is the date of the UK nationals final. So expect people to try and surprise you with playing 1 or 2 of them. I think with the ring, it's just simply, right, I'm going to move up first turn and I'm going to plunk myself in the ring. If you try and shoot me, you get -2 to attack me. And then next turn, I'm going to be coming out. So it gives you a really nice, if you can, nice positional. Obviously, you want to ignore hindering, obviously, if it gets stuck. So you want to be able to like have a taxi that carries everybody up into the ring and then, carries everybody out the ring later on.
I believe I misread that. It doesn't give ignoring hindering unless you ignore hindering. You have to stop. It's basically the ropes themselves act as if you're moving into hindering terrain in the classic sense.
Unless you,
So
you want a flyer. You want to maybe a flyer or a multi-taxi or something that's going to carry your team up. Gives you a lot of protection.
That's going to be super annoying with the jet. You can just sit in there and be like, I take up the whole thing.
Yeah, you want to take up the whole ring if you can. But obviously if you're shooting out the ring, so if you're calling in figures, you want to just place a jet to the edge of the terrain and pop your figures out. And then so they don't get the -2. Yeah.
And then shoot the person, and then, it's fine, see you later.
Yeah.
I think you'll probably see that with almost any jet team for someone who's bought it. If you've got the points spare, I think you'll see him.
Yeah, if you've got the points to spare, because that's an ID card, really. So it depends on,
that's what I was thinking.
If you think, I haven't, you've got to drop an ID card to get that. And if I'm winning map roll, if you're not themed, then you could just like say, I'm going to put you on a map where you can't place it.
Yeah, but then you're giving them +1 defense to one of your characters.
Yeah, which is not that great, though, is it?
It's not great, but I mean, it's not.
Yeah,
it's
but
not,
I'd rather not deal with that ring though. So I would probably, if you're not playing a theme team, then be prepared not to be able to use it.
But yeah, there you go. So, but if you're playing the jet, you're probably playing theme. And
you're not. There's just only some cultured people. Only cultured people play like the Avengers jet.
Only the truly wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's. I think, unless I'm wrong, that's it from me.
Okay.
So that's it. I can think of anything else news-wise.
Nope.
I think
that's about it.
Me.
I think that's about it. Yeah. I think that's it for you. Yeah. Well, we'll move swiftly on because we've spent a bit of time on that. So we'll go on to the tactics section now. Chris, do you want to? You're doing a new piece today.
Yes, I'm introducing something. We'll see how it goes. If I'm going to continue it. Basically, I have been listening to an X-Wing podcast. I play X-Wing a little bit as well, not very well. And it was going over like the Art of War, which is a Chinese military text, and sort of trying to look at that and how it fits into a tabletop game. So, being the copier that I am, I thought, well, it might be interesting just to do that for Heroclix. So the Art of War, as I said, is a ancient Chinese military treatise dating back from around the 5th century BC. And it is attributed to the military strategist Sun Tzu. And it's basically devoted to different aspects of warfare. It is commonly thought of as a definitive work on military strategy and tactics, and it's influenced military thinking, business tactics, legal strategy, etc., etc. So you'll often find it like referenced for companies and how to deal with conflict, things like that. So anyway, what I thought was we could have a little look through and pick out some bits and bobs, and look at how that applies to Heroclix, specifically looking at sort of competitive gaming. Yeah. So,
yeah, sure, yeah.
I've just picked out like a little quote. I'm trying to find my copy of. Well, I think I've left it behind. Never mind. I'm trying to find which chapter it was in. I think it was chapter 1, which talks about strategic assessments. I'm sure everybody's got a copy to hand. But I've picked out this section. I'll just read it. It's not very long. So, a military operation involves deception. So, even though you are competent, appear to be incompetent. Though effective, appear to be ineffective. So that's basically it. So it is about deceiving your opponent. And which is generally, in some tabletop games, it might be a bit easier, but in Heroclix, there's not a huge amount of like hidden information, because you're trying to deceive your opponent into thinking you are incompetent. or ineffective. Your team is ineffective, so they will underestimate you. So, as I say, Heroclix dials are generally the only thing that are hidden, but even then, most popular figures, people will have them memorized, so it's potentially difficult to trick your opponent into, if you've got, you're playing popular figures, they're going to know that dial. Anyway, I've got a couple of examples of where deception has been used previously. I have no proof that they are authentic, but I have heard about them, and I thought they're good illustrations. So, the first example I have is a former Heroclix World Champion was talking, I think on HD Realms or something, about the fact that he had forgotten to take his powers and abilities card with him to the tournament. So what he did was he downloaded one, printed it out and sellotaped it together. And he said before playing games, he made a thing about taking it out and studying it quite intently and asking his opponents questions about particular powers, basically to appear to try and trick them into thinking that he didn't know what he was doing. And I think he was doing it sort of as a joke, but if I'm playing someone that if you haven't played somebody before and you're playing at a tournament and you're seeing somebody in front of you who is obviously like new to the game, doesn't appear to know what they're doing, I often don't do things like very well. I play sloppily. I might think, oh well, I don't really need to like put a lot of effort in, because I think, I don't know, I feel sorry for that person. I put my guards down. I'm thinking I don't really need to like make sure I count out range. I'll just play a bit sloppily. I'll not bother looking at the cards. I'll expect them to make a lot of errors, so I don't feel that I need to put the effort into the game. And anyway, so the second example is the same player during the tournament where he became world champion. He was playing a Gotham City themed team based around police cruisers, and one, I think this was in another podcast, I can't remember which one, said that one of his opponents remarked before the game, said he'd done really well playing a fun themed team and got so far, obviously missing out on how much of a beating he was about to take. So in that example, his opponent did not know what his team was. He thought that, you're playing a fun theme team. So he didn't underestimate the player, he underestimated the team. Yes? Yeah. I'm just checking you're with me and you haven't gone to sleep.
No, I'm with you. Yeah,
I am.
Making sense.
So it's basically, and I'm sure you've come across this before, where you've maybe seen a team across from you and you're thinking, I don't know what that team does. He's not playing the normal competitive figures. I think it's rubbish. Or somebody's told you a team and you think he's not playing the normal figures. Where's this Nick Fury? Where's this? Where's this? Where's that? You're going to think, it's not as good. I don't think it's going to be any good. And all it takes is letting your guard down for one turn. It just thinks, I don't really need to worry about placement. I don't think he can do anything against me. I'll not bother reading his cards. I'll not bother asking him what that figure does. One sloppy play on one turn, and that's you losing the game. Yeah. I'm sure we've all got examples of how we've done that.
That's what that does. Oh well, I'm very glad that figure's now wiped out my whole team because I didn't pay attention.
Yeah. So anyway, there's two examples there. One is like relying on your opponent not knowing you, which we can't really do much about, I don't think, when we're trying to plan. And it might be funny, but it's probably hard to like pull off. And it seems like a little bit of a cheat. Maybe as if you're trying to trick your opponent into thinking that you're a noob. So anyway, the second example about how to deceive your opponent about the effectiveness of your team is something that we can sort of look at and explore. So generally, as I said before, that dials are the only hidden information in Heroclix, because there's nowhere people positioning, or you haven't got, you're not some games where you might hide what your movement is going to be or something like that, but you're on the map. Everybody can see the map. everybody can look at your cards. The only thing you can't see is your dials. But most of the time, that you might not know complete dials, but if it's a popular figure, you're going to know a lot of information about that dial because you've played it before, you've played against it before, you've practiced because you think that I know I'm going to face that team or that figure, so I've practiced and I've learned a little bit about it. So, for example, you might know how many clicks Shift and Focus Superman has, what clicks that Jakeem loses probability control, what's the maximum reach of Krang and Justin, etc., etc. So it's difficult to deceive your opponent if you are playing the bog standard competitive figures. Yeah, because mostly you expect your opponent to know those sorts of things. Yeah, and also when you're testing, if we go to look at what teams we're going to test against, we're going to test against the figures that we expect people to play.
To see,
you haven't got unlimited time. You're not going to go through every single potential figure that people are going to play. You're going to go, well, I'll just pick out this, I'll pick out Jakeem, I'll pick out Krang, I'll pick out Quinjet or things like that, and you're going to know, well, I'll have a little strategy against them. Because the way I sort of practice is I will plan my strategy, might say maybe it's 2 turns against them, so I'll know exactly, I'm going to face Jakeem and Faust, let's say, because that's probably going to come up. I know what map I'm going to pick against them, I know what position I'm going to move up to in turn 1, and I know how to kill Jakeem on turn 2. If you're playing Jakeem, that's my strategy. I've figured it out. It may not work, but I know exactly what I'm going to do against it. Yeah. So if you're playing something that I have, so basically it's looking at you. It's very difficult to deceive somebody if they know your team. Yes.
Yeah. So,
okay. So they've practiced. You basically a lot of times I've got a strategy against teams that I know. I spend time on picking a map against them. Yeah, and I think, right, I don't have to think. This is it. When you're playing a team in a tournament, you've got 45 minutes or something like that. You haven't really got time to work that out. So I can work that out beforehand for teams I know that I'm going to face, but I'm not going to be able to do that on the day against a team that I've never seen before. Yeah. So it's looking at how do you. So one thing, a simple example is how do you deceive your opponent is by playing something that they don't expect you to play or they haven't seen before. So things like, there's a new set come out, say Deadpool. I mean, we might think that none of them are hugely competitive, but that doesn't mean that they're not a good. If you're going to play them, you probably want to play them when they first come out, when people haven't seen them. So if you want to break out at nationals, you think, well, I think it's something like a compromise between the effectiveness of a piece. So you might look at Jakeem is say 100% effective. He's got a lot of options. You can play him really defensively and you can play him offensively, and he's a Swiss Army knife. Yeah. So let's put him at 100% effective. Let's pick a figure that isn't as good, but let's give him 80% effectiveness. But let's give him, I have the element of surprise against a lot of people. They will not know how many clicks he's got. They won't expect him. They won't have practiced against him. So can I leverage that element of surprise in some way to actually make him more effective than the 100% effective piece? Yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense, actually.
Yeah. So I mean, it swings and roundabouts. Really, you could just look at, right, I'm going to just play the best piece. People will know. People might have strategies against it, but I know it's effective, and I know I know it's effective. Or I can just create. I'm going to play. You don't have to play a completely piece. It could just be, are you using a team that people have seen before, but you're just doing it in a different way. You're maybe swapping something out. You're playing different ID cards. It could be, I'm playing the Quinjet. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to focus on really cheap call-ins, and I'm going to pop out loads of cheap call-ins all the time. I'm not going to play anything above 50 points. So people expect me to play like really high point figures, but I'm going to play really low points, and I'm going to play it in a different way. So it doesn't have to be huge changes, and you're playing, you don't want to be playing like really bad figures. But just, I think sometimes just playing different figures, and I'm going to go to an example of, say, Felix, like when he won the Nationals last year, playing Proteus, but even in the he didn't play the same team in the qualifying rounds, so he didn't let people see what team he was playing. People didn't have a chance to practice against it. People didn't know from personal experience. I had no idea how many clicks he had. I had no idea what strategy to use, and he beat me by turn 2 because I just didn't know what to do. If I'd have seen his team, if I'd had a chance to think about it, and I'm going, right, I need that figure, I need to hit it with this, and I'd hit with that, and I need to position myself here, blah, blah, blah. But because I didn't do that, I lost. If he'd have played a team that I knew what to do against, I might have had a chance to win it. So I think it is really, you have to have a bit of like confidence in your own abilities, I think, to be able to pick out those figures that maybe people will surprise people. You have to look at, maybe synergy between pieces that maybe people haven't seen before. It could just be an interaction between that piece and a particular map. I'll give you my example that I always play, like the little Ant-Man and the Temple map. I play it all the time. People still get caught out by... You come across new players who go, I didn't know that the how that ruling worked around Giant. As soon as that they changed the how Giant figures worked, Giant and Colossal figures worked.
Yeah.
I just played that to death. But you still, it's just a little interaction that people might not have seen about. A new ruling comes out. Rulings come out all the time on particular figures. If people aren't aware of that, and you are aware of that, you can leverage that to get a bit of element of surprise, and I haven't seen it before. So you can I'm trying to think of an example. Can't think, but let's just say Hammer, for example. People haven't seen what Hammer could do. You'll group all the figures together, and you'll splat them all for 5 damage, and they'll go, I didn't realise he does 5 damage, but by then the game's lost.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's some examples about how you can use
deceive.
It's not sort of deceive as in trying to trick them. It's just looking at, right, they were not expecting it, they underestimated you, or they didn't think you could do that. And lots of times you'll think, oh, I didn't realize you can do that. As soon as you say that, you think, well, I have deceived you. I have, and I think I use like the rules section, although I haven't put many rules in. Check the rules section. If a new ruling comes out of a particular figure, it affects how that figure works. And you might be able to come up with, all you have to do is like come up with a little thing that maybe other people haven't, thought of before, and that gives you, potential like huge advantage. Anyway, I've talked quite a lot about that. Does anybody else want to add, or can think of other examples about how you can use that?
I think you're right in that it's hard to do it in Heroclix because everything is open and on the board. It is really difficult to take advantage of it, other than, as I said, try and play things that are a bit out of the blue, because the top end players will know how their team has a chance and will have thought of how they can beat the other top teams. If you can turn up with something that is out of the blue, doesn't have to rely on the same things, as you got caught yourself with Felix, you can catch people out and they don't know how to deal with it, and all of a sudden you've won. A new figure used in a way that no one had thought about, and there you go. I'll be honest, I don't see one in Deadpool, but I didn't see Proteus as being used at 200 points either, so there we go. I don't really have much to add other than what you've just said, really.
Yeah, I mean, I could reel off examples where it's happened to me.
Well, give us some examples then, because it's helpful to illustrate the point.
this is gonna. Well, it happened to me recently, actually, when I played one of the guys at the local venue. It's a figure that I've seen him play many, many times, but I've never actually played the figure, and kind of underestimated the team that he was playing. He was playing the Supergirl, Super Rare from Superman Wonder Woman set.
Mm-hmm.
I own the figure. I've never played it.
It's the Apocalypse version?
I've seen it. No, it's the one with the outnumbered tokens.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I didn't have a clue what the outnumbered tokens did. Didn't bother reading the card. Was in a position where I could have put a second token on my character to attack Supergirl, but thought, she's got 2 tokens on her. She's not going to attack me next turn. I'll just clear. And I said, you're double token on you. You're going to have to clear next turn. And he said, yes, I am. Great. I'll just clear. He then went, I'm going to remove 2 outnumbered tokens and make a free attack. And pretty much it was game over from then on. And it was like, yep, I should have read that card. I should have, but I took it for granted. I didn't think to read the card, and I should have known better, and I suffered the consequences for it. And he's under no obligation to say, yes, I am going to clear, but I can also do a free attack. He didn't lie about it. He just chose not to give me that information.
Does anyone does anyone want to put their foot in the mouth now and reel a figure off that they think could potentially surprise people from Deadpool? So, like, who's the Proteus who's going to turn up in Deadpool as a character you wouldn't expect to do anything, and is going to do surprisingly well with it?
I don't think there's many people brave enough to do it, though. You can see that, like, how many people are going to pick out? I don't know. Maybe it's one of the.
You've got to shift and focus.
If you're going to do that, you're probably looking at the higher points, because they tend to be overlooked. Maybe the higher point figures, because you tend to look at a lot of value figures, sort of between 75 and 120 points and things like that. That's where you tend to get most of your meat. Sometimes the higher point figures, you think, too high points, and you never really look at them, and you don't play them very often. So often that's what surprises me. Because it's small ones, but...
You know what figure I really like from the set? The more I look at the figure, I know we discussed it a couple of weeks back now. I quite like that super red Deadpool.
The Merc with the
Merc
mouth.
with the mouth, yeah.
I don't think there is enough time at the end of the day for you to explain why that figure isn't garbage. For 70 points, I don't care what his powers are. If you kill him, you double token your whole team.
Yeah, but I don't know.
He is quite an effort to kill him, though. Sort of.
I look at that and think, there is no scenario in the game where I would look at that figure and go, oh, that's definitely worth the 5-point discount on the 6 different shifting focus versions. And never, ever, ever, ever. There's me putting my foot in my mouth when that goes well.
You did say the turtles were rubbish as well. But I've played, I won my Spider-Ham with the turtles figure. I think that Armagon's quite... I mean, he's pretty good. I think you do need to... He's not as good as, like, Justin plus a big robot. But he can get across the map on turn 2 and smack you with a heavy object. And if Cappy happens to be carrying a pimp tank along with him, then there's, 9 damage to you and 2 penetrating everybody standing next to you.
The more I keep looking through these figures, the more I'm genuinely worried that soldiers teams are going to take over the world.
They are. They had such a powerful team.
So many stupidly good 30 to 80, 90 point soldiers who are just insanely good.
Just begging to having a tank dropped on the head. That's the thing. I think the once we get rid of, say, the big alpha strikers like Justin, I think once he rotates, I think you will see swarm figures coming back into it. Because at the moment, you try and play a little swarm team and just like, oh, Krang just comes and will just destroy you.
One shots.
Yeah, he'll just, he'll just go bang, bang, and I'll go flurry, bang, and there's a tank on your head, bang. The only thing that can survive that is something really beefy. You can't like have little squishy guys because they're just, that's half your team dead. As soon as that, I think once he goes, I think you might see, the smaller like little 50-point pieces coming into their own really, but.
I really want the Ultra Chase to do well. It does do free Blade Claws Fangs attacks.
He's 140 though. Anyway.
He's 140. He does just go once a game. I'm not taking damage, so to you. And if he hits you with a Blades Claws Fangs, there's nothing to say that he can't put the spread joy and rainbows token on you, so you can't even punch him. It's god. No, I'm not going to say that. I think Deadpool's that Ultra Chase Deadpool is gorgeous, but no, I think that for me, if I'm going to put my foot in the mouth, I think Hammer's probably the most obvious one. It's just
But you do need to play him in a team where he's not your main threat, because you really need to be able to carry him somehow. Because you need to play him with a vehicle, carry him up, because he can't carry people and he can't be carried. So you don't want to spend. He's only got 6 speed and with sidestep, it's not too bad, I suppose. But you really want to have some way of moving him around.
The Chase Venom pool. That's probably the most likely chase to turn up. I think somebody might get some use out of it if they have half or more of the chase panels. But I don't think there's anyone stand out enough to go, this is going to be an amazing piece that people will win tournaments with.
There's nothing in that set that I'm thinking, I'm going to be scared of.
Let's do this. Princess Python I'm terrified of, she's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think the Pimp Tank sorts out a lot of swarm teams as well, really. Because you can play all your pogs. I'm just going to kill them all in one go. So, and you're not going to rotate your sort of what do you call it? Round table, because it's not an attack. Anyway, yeah, I
think we got incredibly sidetracked there.
Anyway, yes. So when you're coming to look at it, if you don't know what to play for your nationals team and you want to try and surprise some, you can just go with the tried and tested, I will just play what everybody else is playing and net deck a team. But be prepared that I've practiced against those sorts of teams. A lot of other people who know what they're doing are going to look at practicing against those teams. Might be better to take a risk, play something that you think no one is going to expect. It might be slightly less effective, but you're going to get the element of surprise. And it's a bit of a compromise between two. And I think you need to play a theme team as well if you're going to do that, because then try and look at, right, I'm going to get the map benefit, I've thought, and I'm going to get the, surprise benefit. But anyway, what were you going to say? I think
if you're looking at that the... I have the surprise I'm going to say is, I think if you're looking at surprise factor as well as being strong and potential competitors, I think the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, the Shredder's Return set's probably where you're going to find it. I think the Shredders.
Yeah, but it's people have been playing them. I don't think it's not a. But yeah, they are pretty effective. But people won't have played a lot against them. So they won't know so much about how long it dialed or how long you've got to kill him. Oh, they come back on that click. First time I
still want to see someone play Leonardo as well. After all the hype, I've not heard anything about him. But I still think that just that race for the pieces of the black hole generator to steal your equipment is just insane.
Anyway, I'm going to end my little segment there because it's going forever. I've been starting to write an article. I've nearly finished it. I'll put that up on the website as well, just to reinforce. I'll put some more examples on. But I think it just takes a bit of confidence. You just need to be confident in yourself as a player to be able to pick the path least travelled. Because it does pay dividends There's a lot of like people do really well. I'll go back to like last year, another example quickly. Riptide team. That was again something that.
Let's not start with that.
You do not expect it. You're trying to think. You've got like 5 minutes before the start of the game to think what's happening here, what's happening. I don't know what's going on. Oh, I'm dead. So, if you can come up with that, it does take a little bit of like creativity, a little bit of confidence in what you're doing. But it does pay off. Anyway, we shall move on.
Okay. Well, we'll move on to Team Challenge now.
Yeah.
Although you've just done a lot of talking, Chris,
Yes.
You picked the figure for this week's Team Challenge. So do you want to start us off with what you've come up with?
Go on. I picked.
It was Hell Cow.
It was Hell Cow, yeah. So, we all know Hell Cow's got an awesome dial. Could be a surprise figure that people...
Actually, can I change my pick for surprise figure to Hell Cow?
Go for that. Anyway, right, so Hell Cow's got a lot of problems, really. Needs to hit, needs to use like Steel Energy to heal up, but has a really bad attack. Which is probably shares with most of the like vampire dials, which are you never really managed to pull off. So to try and alleviate this, I've got Hell Cow at 50 points. I have possessed Hell Cow with Eclipso, because Hell Cow starts at Clix 6. Eclipso is going to give you +1 attack and probability control, more than likely. So that'll at least help Hell Cow to hit stuff. Obviously, it bumps it up to a sort of 75-point piece. So what I've tried to do is look at, well, how can I give Hell Cow a ranged attack, and how can I give Hell Cow Steel Energy out range? So what I've done is I've played Hell Cow with the Punisher Van, which I've got, and I really want to play it, but I've never had a chance to play it. So it's 125 points I've gone for with a 10-point weapon dial. The weapons that I'm really looking to equip Hell Cow with are Gatling gun and a flamethrower, because they're just having a cow with a Gatling gun is funny. But anyway, they give you multiple attacks. So I'll just briefly try and find what the Gatling gun does. I think. So the Gatling gun is going to give a range attack. With a range of 3 damage to a single opposing character, and after it resolves, you make another range attack targeting another character within range of line of fire that is adjacent to the last targeted character. So you're basically trying to shoot anybody that's like standing next to each other. And the flamethrower, which is short range, full range, it's got 3 targets. So again, you're trying to target characters adjacent to each other. And you're putting fire markers on them and set them on fire, which deals them damage, etc. Right, okay, so we're now doing ranged attacks, and we're hitting multiple targets. But how do we get that to use Steel Energy? Well, there are a couple of ID card inspiration effects that you can use for Ares and Deadman. There's the 125-point Ares from the Superior Force of Spider-Man and Deadman from Trinity War. So I'm looking at using the Punisher Van to call them in to stand next to Hell Cow. Hell Cow with the Gatling gun or what have you is then going to be trying to hit stuff and stealing energy when doing so. That left me with about 80 points left, I think. So I've put in a Punisher to, because he obviously works reasonably well with the Punisher Van, and able to equip items as like free actions instead of power actions. So I can squeeze in the 45-point Punisher, who uses the weapon caches to boost up his like stats a bit as well. And I have 35 points left, and I'm squeezed in the Green Lantern from Joker's Wild, who can use a little barrier thing to reduce like defenses as well, or to barrier to try and protect itself, while Hell Cow equips herself with all her weaponry, so that it comes to exactly 300 points.
Very good, very good.
Okay.
You got anything to say about that, dear?
No. I think traditionally it's me next that you can finish off and give us your next piece. I'm just going to say again, that no matter how hard you try, you cannot polish a cow pat. I went as best I could. I put in, again, you can't polish it, but you can sprinkle some dust on it. I put a Calypso in there as well because having probability control is useful, and at the end of it you can get blades to go with that steel energy and it gives you extra attack, which is fine. I went for a monster theme. I put in a witch because I had some points spare and couldn't think of anything better to put in, and I went with Mini Shredder and Shiva Shredder with the intention of Hellcow moving up, carrying them both, plunking them down and allowing them to do their sidestep shenanigans to get more and more damage out of them. So for free shifts, and then just have Hellcow do nothing but be a reroll because it's a waste.
Well, she can support. You can support.
She can support, and she can occasionally go in and have a cheeky punch and then sidestep away to try and give herself extra steel energy stuff. And if she can get a heal up, she'd lose the probability control. But the worst case, you're going to go to outwit. You're not going to get high enough to get to click more than click 4. There's just no way. So yeah, she's going to have probability control, cost 25 points, but whatever, Hellcow's tough enough to not die, hopefully. And then I put in Pandora's Box with 3. I put in Sloth, Wrath, and Envy. Sloth for Hellcow so that it doesn't die as best I can make it. Wrath for Shiva Shredder because I like the multi-attacking, taking away all of your stuff. And then Envy for Mini Shredder because that was the best one that was going. I said it the wrong round. Sorry, Wrath is going on Mini Shredder because it was just easy to plunk and stop the power stop the ship change. And Shiva Shredder's got the Envy because having 4 attacks is nice and all good and stuff, but you only have 10 attacks, so you need to get that side out. And that's me.
Okay. Well, I feel like I've cheated a bit because I've built a Golden Age team because it was never specified, and I checked with you on Monday, Chris, if this was allowed. So I started off thinking I'm going to build an animal themed team. Obviously Hellcow, Ace the Bat Hound, because I'm thinking I can pick Perplex every other turn and Perplex up attack on Hellcow. Clarion the Witch Boy because Tico comes with him, and that's another Perplex. And then, why make do with 1 Clarion when you can have 2? So put another Clarion the Witch Boy on there because that comes with another Tico. And then I thought I'll play Book of the Skulls, which left me with some points over. So I completely then decided not to build a theme team and put Split Lip on there as well. The idea being I can drop hammers. Hellcow can pick a hammer up, is it Scuddy's hammer that gives a charge and exploit? And +2 to attack, which knocks her up to an 11 attack with potentially Ace the Bat Hound Perplex and Tico Perplex as well. So she's going to be hitting, and that's pretty much my team. Probably not the best, but hey, you've got to use what you've got, haven't you?
I think with the vampire dials, I think the books, the hammers are probably the only way that's ever been sort of half competitive to actually steal energy with free attacks, really. And if you can find, I don't know if there was any way of giving a sort of precision strike, would have been. I don't know if there is. So maybe you'd have to possess it with something or other, some sort of possessor.
You can give. There's a scientist.
You can use the
Stars Labs scientist technician from Flash.
So being able to move up, having precision strike, and then trying to go. Oh, you could give her the giant size hammer, maybe. And I'm going to quake. Oh, I've hit 4 of you. I'm going to use steel energy. 1, 2, 3, 4 clicks up my dial. I'll probably still die next turn. But anyway, it would be getting it up on click 4 or so. If you could if you could do that. I think it's because if you
And
just
you've
quicken,
got
then
Tico to deal with as well.
yeah.
So.
No, I'm trying to think. I mean, the vampire dials. I think that probably the Book of Skulls is like the only real consistent way of getting them to work. Really, I think, because most of them have been absolute trash. And I think the Dracula was the only from the Amazing Spider-Man. I think was the only sort of decent figure that I've sort of ever played that had like the vampire dial. But anyway, that's by the by.
Yeah. So that was my team. And as I found out moments before recording, it's my turn to pick. So, who did I say again? So, just going back to the Deadpool set and figures that we think are good in the set.
You're not going to pick any of them. You're going to pick really bad ones.
I'm not going to pick
like me.
another figure like Heroclix. Not like you, no. I'm going to pick Fenris, the super rare from Deadpool.
Okay.
Now, it's kind of easy because you're probably not going to be picking a theme team as they've only got one keyword, but which I think is Hydra. But yeah, so that's the team build for.
You've still got quite a lot. There's a lot of Hydra in Nick Fury set still, isn't there?
Yeah, a modern age team. So I'm specifying modern age.
I might have a go at a Hydra team. I think there is still enough sort of Hydra figures around that you could like do that. She's like 60 points, easy to fit on the team.
Yeah. So that's my pick. So that's the team challenge out of the way, guys. Now, Dale, you alluded to it at the start in the news section. There's been some further articles about the rules section, which I think Chris is going to cover.
That might tend to talk again.
It's your this show is the Chris show today, because you're doing all the talking. The one where Chris does all the talking.
Right.
There you go. There's the episode title.
That's a bit boring episode title, I think, really. Yeah.
One where we polish a cowbat.
Right, that sounds a bit better. Okay, so since the last podcast, we sort of finished it off talking about the rules updates, but then they brought out another article, which was basically looking at the feedback that they've received and some tweaks that they've made because of that to some powers. So I'm just going to briefly go through them. There's not been much activity on the WizKids network. I think they're all concentrating on getting these new rules sorted out. So I can't see there've been many questions being answered. So today I'm just going to go through that particular article. So first thing that they did, remembering back to the object article when they talked about how heavy objects were going to be used for hindering, and they used like the particular hide mechanic. So and that was basically when you ended your turn on a heavy object, you would be considered to be hiding. So in that case, it would then turn the object into hindering terrain. So instead, that was a little bit convoluted. I think probably received feedback from, and could they just simplify that a bit? And I think the people have suggested this and they've taken that on board, that it's now going to read an otherwise clear line of fire drawn through a square containing a heavy object becomes hindered. And just to add to that, this includes line of fire drawn to a character occupying the same square as the heavy object. So it gives you the same effect, really. Although I'm not sure about what happens. Yeah, because the thing, it's still going to be hindered on your turn, but then stealth just says, doesn't matter. I was thinking that it means you couldn't draw lines of fire to your own characters on your turn, but the wording of stealth would get around that, yes. So I think it just has the same effect. I can't see there's any difference in how it's going to work. It just means you haven't got to worry about having hide and things like that. So I think that the one of the reasons they said they wanted hide was because the changes they were making to terrain and how terrain could be altered and changed, and they didn't want to have objects as specifically hindering terrain by themselves. So I think they did a little bit of preamble and said why they couldn't just say heavy object was hindered. was hindering terrain.
Yeah, it just focuses now on line of fire.
Yeah, so it's focused on the line of fire, not movement, and only heavy objects, which is pretty much, it's identical to the previous, but it's just worded differently, and hopefully a little bit simpler, and they haven't got to use like another mechanic to explain something reasonably simple. Okay, next one was poison. And now previously, because of the changes in the phases, with poison being a free action, it was no longer it was at the beginning of the turn, so you can't do other actions before that. So there was you couldn't outwit, because poison would having to be at the beginning of the turn meant you couldn't sidestep or outwit or any other free actions before you were able to put poison in. So that obviously meant poison was quite a bit less useful. So they've obviously received feedback from players about that, and instead of it being at the beginning of the turn, they're now going to look at being a free action. So it does not have to happen at the beginning of the turn, but it's going to read, if this character hasn't been moved or placed this turn, deal 1 damage to adjacent opposing characters. So with it not having to happen at the beginning of the turn, it means you can still outwit and then poison. You won't be able to sidestep or be carried or do a normal move action. And because of the thing that says it can't be moved or placed, but you could do like an attack or any other particular type of action you can think of. You might have other characters might have particular effects that like synergize well with it, but it means that poison's then making it a little bit more effective. Jump in, guys, if you want to add anything, because I'm just going to read through this, and if you want to like see anything about a particular power now, you can do. Just stop me talking.
Okay. Well, hide. Yeah, it was awfully pointless. It was pointlessly convoluted. You're right. They were basically trying to put in the use of the hindering terrain tokens, but then it's tokens on top of tokens for the sake of nothing. There was no reason for it. Poison. Yeah, I like it. Besides that, poison is probably a little too powerful. I won't miss that at all. Outwit with poison is not broken at all. So I'm very glad to change the mind on that one.
Yeah, me too. I really, really like the fact that what they've done with poison now. I agree with you, Dale. I think sidestep poison is a bit OP. But yeah, I like it a lot. And the original plans for the objects and hindering terrain, and at the end of your turn you may replace it with a hindering terrain marker, and you're considered to use the inherent ability of hide. It was just too many words, too confusing, and they've simplified that back now, I think.
Yep. Okay. Next is the Blades, Claws, Fangs. I think there's a few powers that basically Blades, regen, and support have been changed because of the changes they made to probability control. So because probability control is now saying you can only use it for attacks or breakaway, the powers that were a bit more random, relied a little bit heavily on probability control to make them worthwhile, well then they weren't changed and they got like a bit of a nerf, as it were. So the feedback they have received, they've tried to like bring them up to make them a little bit more effective. So Blades now reads, when you hit and would deal normal damage during a close action, you may roll a d6. And you deal the damage equal to the result instead of normal damage. The minimum result, though, is your printed damage value -1. So it makes it a little bit less of a risk to use Blades when you obviously can't prob the roll. I'm just going to read the other two before you get feedback, just to it's splitting up. So Regen, similarly, it's a power action. You roll a d6, you heal a number of clicks equal to half the result rounded up. So it's no longer got the -2, it's going to be a 1, 2, or 3. So it's going to make it more effective. You haven't got the bit where you might heal 4, but obviously you're missing out on the healing none. And support is going to read choose a target. It's a power action still. Choose the target adjacent friendly character. If this character and the target aren't adjacent to any opposing characters, you roll 2d6. You add the result to the character's attack value. Note before I finish the sentence that it doesn't say unmodified attack value or anything like that, so that is a slight change. And if the result is equal to or higher than the target's defense value, you roll a d6. 1 to 4 you heal 2 clicks, on a 5 you heal 3, on a 6 you heal 4, and it's in brackets, this is not an attack. So those 3 changes have boosted those powers up a little bit, or they've certainly taken away the variance from them, so there's no longer, say with regen you haven't got the chance of like it not doing anything. Support, you've obviously got that minimum of 2, and the fact that you can modify the character's attack value to make it a little bit more likely that you're going to hit, and support. So I think they're all, I'm in favour of all of them. They're boosted up with that because I didn't think it was that big a deal about not being able to prob them, but I think it helps people who, because they were like high variance powers. So yeah, making them a bit more effective, it takes away a little bit of the risk. What do you guys think?
I've already complained that before we even started on regen. I have been persuaded by you guys that yes, the option of the fact that you always heal at least 1 probably is better than having the option of healing 4. However, I will point out that that's not always going to be the case. There are some dials, not many anymore, but there's some dials specifically designed where that 4 is a dream scenario and it's built for that, and that's going to be missing. I don't mind it. I've got over it. The support is amazing. It's great. It's not broken in any stretch because you still have all of the non-restrictions. You still got to hit an attack. You've still got to make sure you're not next to people. But it's great. Blades is still pretty much the same, but I feel like you're not going to see it on a 3 damage figure anymore and just go and then have that awful time. I'm happy with pretty much all of them.
Yeah, I agree. I like them all. I think regen is better now than it was, albeit that you can no longer heal 4, but you're guaranteed to heal at least 1. And support is obviously considerably better now as well. Yeah, I like them all.
Okay, there was just a couple of other little changes as well, which I'll mention. That they added a little proviso for stop clicks. So the stop, as in the capital STOP, reads when this click is revealed due to damage taken from an opponent's attack, stop turning the dial. When this character would be healed by regen or support, it's healed 1 less click, and it's going to get protected, outwit, and pulse wave. So that's basically just to give you the option of regen might fail on if you've got a particular click that says stop and you get regen from somewhere, it is going to be there's a chance that you will not regen off it. Support, you're not going to click, you can still heal 1 because the minimum on support is 2 clicks, so you're going to just heal 1 click. So it's made it a little bit less effective trying to heal when you've got a stop click. I never thought that was much of an issue anyway. The issue is like having sloth healing off a stop click. Generally, I think if you've got, some people have regen on a stop click, but it tends to be once per game stop clicks, things like that. If you've got a particular power, I think it's more like if you get regen through another effect or something like that. But I never thought that was a problem anyway. And the other one was just mind control. And I think basically what they've done is just remove feedback damage from it. So
because garbage enough already.
Yeah, because it's not very great, and they changed it so if you remember, that is, instead of normal damage, the hit character halves their speed and becomes friendly to your force, or may in either order move or make an attack. So you're getting rid of the fact that you can use any of the powers. So they've got rid of the feedback damage, which I never really thought was particularly, great. I never really wanted to take any damage when you're trying to use mind control. It's not a great power. There's not many figures that I think are decent mind controllers. So yeah, I'm quite happy that they got rid of the feedback damage. At least then, if I have like a cheap mind controller, then I don't feel too bad about trying to use it.
If we've finished on this bit, I've got a shout out for. We've got a first question in from Malcolm Rush, the man in Japan. We've kind of finished, I think, the talk on the updates for it. So we're now going to kind of talk around it. He asked a few questions, mainly about the rules. He asked us what we think was the strongest figure who's getting the biggest upgrade or downgrade with the new rules. I said that we were going to all go through and discuss and pick our favourite figure, but we've basically all agreed that there is one guy in particular who just gets a promotion above everyone. We talked about him last episode. It's just General Lane. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
He just gets everything. I mean, he gives outwit, which has become stronger. So, but it's not just outwit; it's outwit for if you're playing loads of soldiers. It's huge amounts of outwit you're getting for him. He's got the leadership that you're after for the new version. I believe does he have Mastermind as well?
No, he doesn't.
No,
he hasn't got Mastermind.
He gets enhancement leadership.
He's basically everything that's on it, and of course he's still stupidly cheap. Which is like another thing for it. The game's seems to be aiming towards reducing the overpoweredness of the current big, stupidly high hitters, feeding some of this back into the kind of weaker figures, and giving the opportunity to have enough actions and use for the small figures. And I think General Lane just epitomises all of that. Just so much outwit, so much leadership, ridiculously cheap, really solid, good figure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good figure before. I think the reason that he didn't see, say, competitive play was because outwit wasn't that great, because there was too many things he couldn't outwit. I think the fact that he gives anything that can give multiple outwit, and obviously the leadership, he was already getting the ability to take off tokens from higher point soldier figures, but obviously leadership as well, giving you an extra action is going to be very guaranteed extra action is going to be very useful. There's a lot of other. I think what we've said is there's a lot of cheap figures. If you look at any cheap figure with leadership that's got decent keywords or outwit, I think any of them have got a boost. So there's things like there's cheap Iron Man and Captain America from the Civil War movie set, 45 points or something like that. They've got Avengers keywords, they're
solid 45 point figures by themselves.
There's things like, I don't know, Captain Stacy from the Spider-Man set, who's now got outwit, and people, you can also take away outwit, perplex and prob for people when he outwit. You have 30 points. Previously you were going, I'm not paying 30 points for like an outwitter, when I probably face loads of things that I can't outwit. So there's lots of like cheap outwitters and maybe cheap leadership, but it's a lot of like I think I can go through and pick a lot of figures that haven't benefited from the change, but trying to isolate figures that have is a little bit harder. I think it's generally like the cheaper things, swarm teams as a whole. Like say named theme teams as well as a whole. If you can play something like a swarm team that is like named themed, and you can squeeze in some leadership and outwit, those are the type of teams I think that are benefited the most.
He also asked who was hit the downgrade button. He was kind of specific, so we'll go for who we thought hit the hardest. I think again we've taught this. I think for me, the person who's hit the hardest by everything is going to be the giant Superman Batman robot.
Yeah, Batsuits
I mean,
definitely.
I mean, on top of the fact that he's losing Justin anyway, that was going to pretty much take him out of competitive.
Yeah, that's his reason for living anyway. So yeah, he's lost his boyfriend and he's
lost his carry ability.
Can't carry an object.
Can't carry
With
on
hypersonic.
the edge with it hypersonic.
Yeah.
He's just lost everything that made him remotely good, other than the 25-point retaliation, which is he's not even in the top 3 anymore. He's been relegated more and more by the newer ones coming in, and he's now basically, are you playing Justice League and have 25 points spare? Brilliant. If not, you're never going to look at him twice, which is sad.
I think I think it's anybody with like hypersonic and super strength. So a lot of big tentpoles, or things that, like, say Jakeem, who's like anybody who relies on the fact that I've got loads of stuff that you can't outwit. Things like that have taken a hit. So I think a lot of so if you're looking at things like that, you've got to look at now at, like, say, Power Cosmic or Quintessence. They become more effective if you want to play a tentpole figure, and you don't want to get hit by a ton of outwit, then start looking at that. Start looking at things that have got some sort of protection, like that Zeus you saw before that we talked about. Things that have like inherent protection against that become a little bit more effective.
World's Finest and Wireless. Those two are pretty.
Yeah. So anything that says
terrible anyway.
Yeah. Obviously they're going to get reworded to say protected outwit. And I'm going to play the hell out of outwit figures. And I'm going to fit, like, you can fit 2 or 3 like cheap outwitters in a team, and just like shuts down everything now. So against a tentpole figure, it's if you're not protected from outwit, I just can't see how you're going to be viable.
I think that's the case. If you're a tentpole figure and you're susceptible to outwit, you're probably not going to be a thing anymore. It's going to be a balance. It depends really on how people react to it. If the meta shifts to everyone must have 3 outwitters in the team, which I can see being a thing, then of course it's going to shift down to, well, that's you're not going to play your big tentpoles because too much outwit, too easy to take them all out. The other way, though, if it turns out that because of that nobody's playing those tentpole figures and everyone's playing the Swarm, maybe you're looking at really having 1 or 2. So
I mean,
it might not be that bad.
Because ID cards exist, you can always like rely on. Well, I'll play 1, but I've got some options to, like, obviously Lex Luthor ID card or something. I'll just go, well, that'll give me a couple of outwits if I position correctly, because obviously you're giving out the Superman enemy. You've obviously got Nick Fury coming in. So yeah, you don't obviously the same way that you don't have to play everything on the map. You're going to be able to utilize outwit from ID cards and things, so you can be flexible around that.
I want to see Cosmic Daredevil become competitive. That's the dream for me.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Especially not with no, it's not. But you never know. He gives us a bunch of questions. So last couple of ones. What I'll read all them out because they're all pretty much part of it. What areas of the new rules have they got right, or ones that are almost right? What's the worst decision they've made so far, and what should have been changed that really hasn't? For me, all of the new rules that they've put in place are done right. Everything that they have done, as far as I'm concerned, especially after the tweaks, is right. Is a step. It's all step in the right directions. The worst they've done is not found the middle ground for Pulse Wave, as far as I'm concerned. I really wish there was just something that took a little bit away from it. I imagine it's not going to be too bad if Outwit's going to replace it. And what I wish they would have changed but didn't is make mind control less garbage by making it not just 2 terrible attacks. I think if you'd hit the mind control, you should give the mind controlled person +2 attack, or give them probability control for that attack to make sure that they can surprise value when you're hitting your friends, or -2 defense to whoever you're punching, something like that. Because at the moment, hitting 1 attack to then go and have to do another attack to make any actual use out of it, it's just not good enough for 90% of the figures. And nobody who is just a mind control character, something like Professor X. Nobody of that archetype in the comics gets played in the game because it just doesn't work, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Anyone else got anything to fulfill of that?
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I think everything they've done. I think the biggest thing is just the consistency of wording. So let's hope that when they come to sort of doing the first set after the rules, they're going to try and continue that consistency in like the special powers. Which is something that you like get truly annoyed at, and trying to explain to new players that, well, that's worded slightly differently, so it works differently, like the variety of like all the stop clicks that they used to have, and oh well, that one can be ignored, oh that one says that one works on attacks, or that one works on any damage. So if they can try and keep all this consistency when they start writing out special powers, I think it'll be a very easier game, and you won't get so much have to memorize all these weird differences. But yeah, there's nothing that they've come out that I disagree with, to be honest with you. The only mind control maybe, but also things like precision. I think precision strike needed a nerf, but I don't know if it's a slightly too wordy nerf. Because now that it's given like the -1 and stuff like that, I don't know if they could have made it slightly better, but I think it was too good, so I'm quite happy that they've actually changed that, but I don't know if they've made it just slightly too wordy.
Yeah, I think the wordiness really it's a bit much. I think that's one of those ones where, again, like in the special powers, precision strike style kind of the devil in the detail. It's like precision strike only works if you're targeting one person. It's not necessarily something you pick up straight away if you've been used to it out as it was.
It's finding middle ground, isn't it? It's like it's trying to nerf the power a little bit without using too many words. It's never going to be easy, is it?
I don't think it needed to do that myself. I don't think if they made it so that it was like pretty much every other power is, where they don't combine, you use a power and that's how it works. If they'd just done that with it, then
it's trying to remember all these. It's trying to say it well. The situational, if doing like 3 different effects or something like that with the power, just then becomes a little bit confusing.
If they're just taking that away, it could have been as simple as reduce supersenses rolls of targets by 1. Damage can't be reduced below 1. That would have been simple. Make range or close. Damage can't be reduced by till below 1. Reduce supersenses result by 1. Simple, snappy. It's job done, and I don't think it is really strong at the moment. I mean, it's like the top end powers, but it's not losing all that much by if you make it an attack that is of itself, so you can't go energy explode with it, because that is overpowered. Just rather than having to put in a million words to make it work, just say you can only use it. It's like you can't take a blast precision strike because it's too much. Why have to put in all this wording? Just give it the same fix you have to everything else so far.
Well, mine, Anyway, I would personally, I would say that there's too many. It's not like it's too wordy. There's too many. It's not too many situations you've got to remember. So there's 3. You've got the fact that it can only single target now, which I think they could have just changed it a little bit. I don't know exactly what, but it just feels a little bit situational, and you've got to remember the different situations you can use it in. But as I say, apart from that, I'm very happy.
Yeah, I like all the rules. I wasn't too over enamored with the change they made to hypersonic at first, in terms of not being able to carry objects or carry anybody, or
you can still carry objects, though, can't you? You just can't use them in the attack.
Yes. Sorry, you just can't carry them in the attack. Is that right? Oh,
you can still pick them up with your movement. It just means because the attack with an object is now a close attack, so that means it's like a close action, so you can't do that during the hypersonic. But I think you can still pick them up and carry. So then you can hit them and then stand next to them and try and hit them next turn.
Okay.
With the object. You can still pick them up anyway.
Yeah. You just can't use them during the attack. Yeah, I didn't like that at first. I'm getting used to it now. It's not the end of the world. It just means I won't be playing certain figures. that I previously liked to play. In terms of the rules, I don't think they've done anything wrong really. I think they've done it all spot on. So
Keep it up.
Yeah.
yeah, more of it.
I think. Is there anything else?
No, I think
today?
I think that's it. There's no more questions, so I think we'll just wrap it up there. I think because it's getting very late.
Yeah. So just a shout out, just a couple of shout outs. One, thanks for the question. If anyone has follow up questions or any more questions, feel free to send them into the Angels to Click Facebook page or the site directly. That'll be fine. We'd happily answer anything that you might think of. And happy birthday, me!
Yes, happy birthday! Well, it's your birthday now. Yes, because it's gone midnight.
That's how long we've recorded.
He's 16.
Oh my goodness!
I'm 16. So yeah, I'm 21 again.
16 again. Yeah. So yes, you've got any birthday plans that you?
I'm off to a spa, but that was for Mother's Day that I bought the wife as opposed to for me.
Okay, sure it
know.
was.
Whatever, any excuse, eh?
Right. Well, I think we'll just wrap it up there then, guys. If unless you've got anything else.
Before I lose any more man points.
Right. Well, don't forget you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter and catch us on YouTube. And until next time, guys, thanks for listening and see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.